but yeah, that was huge for me because after I did that, she kept talking about how good I did and all this, and
Hmm.
was talking me up, and I was like, okay, and she kept telling me, I don't think you know how good you are. And then her husband David was like, hey, we do a summer league where in Vegas where we pull together all the high school kids around the nation, and do a little couple weeks worth of league there. Do you want to come to Vegas and do that? The last person, we don't have the last person that did it because he was picked up by ESPN, and
Got
you're like 10 times better than him anyhow. And I
okay.
was like,
So was that last summer or is this summer
that
coming up?
was this summer coming up.
Oh, that's big time, man. Yeah, that'll be
Yeah,
fun.
so
Yeah, that'll be
I don't.
fun. That'll be easy
Hmm.
work for you too. Summer league's
Yeah,
always fun.
I've never went through something like that. So,
Yeah, that's big
but
time, man. Congrats. Yeah, you'll kill that for sure.
I hope so. Uh, this is this is all new for me. Like I said, I mean, I ain't even followed basketball in like since Reggie Miller was playing. You know,
Oh, that's a
so
long
it's
time.
been a
Yeah,
while.
that's a long time.
Yeah.
Definitely that's a long time for sure.
I mean, obviously, I know, Kyrie and all them. I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
be on social media without knowing that kind of
yeah.
stuff. But
Oh yeah. Everybody know
uh
Kyrie and them. But yeah, man, we
yeah.
finally got some news to talk about. Talk about Gilly.
Oh my
See,
goodness,
now
something
we
that
can
was
see
taught
what's the next move. I figure
right.
that's one domino that's off Chris Ballard's board. Now he can focus on whatever the next move is. And I saw we got a tackle too. I don't know much about him, but I saw we signed
He's
a tackle.
practice
Depth.
squad.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay, okay.
yeah. I see what you're saying, but yeah, he was a Titans practice squad guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know much about him, so I wasn't sure if that was
He's never
somebody.
played a yeah, he's never played a
Okay,
snap. But
so we
to
still
be
looking for another
fair,
tackle though.
the last few years between Kessenberry and oh, what the heck is his name? Crap. Uh, I can't get his name in my head now for some reason. The guy from Bussin' with the Boys.
Oh,
Uh,
Lawan.
yeah, Taylor.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean, last few years they've been there and they've had good depth behind there. So,
Mhm.
I mean, he might
Yeah,
be
you never know.
quality.
Yeah, never
Yeah.
know. Never know.
That's where you get your quality guys. That's how we got Kenny Moore, right? Because
Yep.
he was with the Patriots. The
Yep.
Patriots were incredibly deep already and had to let him go, because they were so deep there. So you never know how this has potential. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an opportunity for the young man. There's a lot of things I could talk about. You talking about, maybe the next move. I'll bring it up later, but you'll know if they're thinking about picking up another somewhat big name
Right.
if someone's contract gets renegotiated,
Ah, I got you. Talking about
because
yeah.
making a little money on the cap, a
Yeah.
little bit more
Yeah.
because yeah. I'm sure that Gilly took a lot of upfront money
Oh
because it
yeah,
was
for
like
sure.
freaking 14 million of that's guaranteed. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He definitely took. That's what I was saying on last pod. We was gonna have to spend some money to get some of these guys. These guys ain't just
Hmm.
about to come play for cheap. So, but
No,
I
no.
feel like I still feel. I know we're gonna talk about it, but I do feel like we got Gilly for a bargain. At
Yeah.
the end of the day.
Well, I've been saying for a couple weeks, I don't mind Stephon. I wouldn't mind him on the team. It's just the reported 20 million a year that he wanted 2 years ago, when he left the
Yeah.
Patriots, when on his last year of the pay. I was like, I don't want to pay that much,
No.
you
Yeah.
know.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm like maybe 12 to 14 is what kind of I was looking at, because he is coming off the injuries and stuff like
Right.
that. And they got him for under 12. I'm like, all right, that's good. That's amazing. It kind of makes me wonder because he was he was brought in by quite a few good teams, like the Bills, the Rams, you
Raiders.
know.
I thought he was going to go
Yeah,
to the Raiders,
yeah.
but yeah, the reason you're right, and the reason the why it's under 12, coming off an injury, didn't have a lot of game film from last year, but he played well when he came back. He still played well, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure him and his people and Chris and front office got talks to where if things go how they're supposed to go, that they'll lock him long term. He's one of those guys that if he shows he's healthy and playing how Gilly knows how to play, he'll end his career as a coach. If things go well, so I'm pretty sure it was some premature talks on, if this year one goes great, then year two he expects another deal. At least that's what I'm thinking on a high caliber guy like that. Like I know it's a 2 year deal, but it's probably essentially more of a one than anything. Because
Well, that's
if it don't go well, they're not going to pay him that much money for next year if he don't
yeah,
perform how he's supposed to perform. So
yeah,
at least
yeah.
that's my thinking on it. I know I'm guessing a little bit, but that's my thinking on when you get
Oh,
these
I
high caliber players.
yeah. Well, I mean, and they're also, they're kind of at that point in their careers right now where uh, they're looking at, perhaps their last contracts.
Yeah, the, yep,
Mainly for corners because corners don't play till they're 40. I
right.
mean, it's just your speed and athleticism kind of drops after 30 years old, starts to wane a little bit.
See, we
That's
got to
no,
change that narrative. We got to change that narrative. They put
it
that 30,
does though.
that 30 out there, man. We got to change it. It does overnight. It's kind of, I remember I had a
Yeah.
coach tell me one time, was like, man, you're just going to wake up one day. You're just not going to be
Hmm.
fast anymore. It happens overnight. You don't really see the drop off. It's just, the year
Yeah.
went good and then off season came. You come back, you're like, man, what in the world happened to such and such? So, 30 might be the age, but I think these young guys nowadays is going to change that narrative pretty soon.
Yeah. I'm not saying that. I mean,
No, it's
the
not
age
you.
is
No, it's
different
league.
for everyone,
Yeah, no, it's
That-
league worldwide. That 30,
yeah.
they put that number on you now. You turn 30, it's hard to get some money after that.
Yeah, it is. It is. I know. Unless your name is Von Miller. Uh,
Yeah. But when you look at his deal, it's really more of a 2-3 year deal. It's just the numbers fluctuate on the back end. They know Von's not gonna get that back end money. It just looks good on paper. But you look at the real numbers, it's more of a 2 to 3 year type deal for Von.
yeah, I was looking at him and Devontae. Like all their guaranteed money is their first 3 years.
Yeah,
They're
that's
they're they're locked in for 3 years, and then after that, it's all roster or
yep,
salary. It's all
yep.
base salary, which means there's nothing guaranteed there. I think they could cut Vaughn after 3 years, and with still 3 years on his contract, and only eat like 7 million or something like that.
Yeah,
Which for a team they'll do that in a heartbeat.
yeah, that's
And
what I'm saying. They structured it that way for a reason. Let's
mm-hmm,
say Von falls out for 3 years. At least they know they got him locked in. So
mm-hmm.
I think that's the game they play with it. But I'm happy to see these guys get paid though. They're driving the money
Oh,
up for sure.
oh yeah, yeah. And with the new commercial money that's coming in next year, I mean, you're gonna
Just gonna
see
keep going up. Yeah.
it is people. I mean, guys are getting paid record amounts of money. Some guys that I don't believe should be getting paid the money that they're getting paid is getting paid.
No,
Like,
you're right. You're right. Some guys are not worth it, but when it comes to the business, it's the market. It's whatever the market says. It's not really your talent per se. If you're up and you're the best corner, shoot, if the market says you're getting 15 a year, you're gonna get that 15 a year.
wow. See, I like Christian Kirk, but 17 million a year, that's a lot of
Uh,
money.
for somebody that not really established himself yet as an elite premier receiver, but yeah, that's a lot of money. But that's the nature of being 24 years old, 25 years old with a lot of
Hmm.
upside, all that. That's the fun part. That's why I was talking about that free agency stuff, man. Like if you get an opportunity, you gotta jump in there because just never know what some team might throw at you.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And that's why I kind of respect Ballard a lot. And we'll talk about that, about his patience, because wow, to
We've
be
been
able to
saying,
land certain guys, man.
you're right. We've been saying it. Let the GM be the GM. Everybody else just
Hmm.
relax.
All right, let me finish my cigarette. Oh my goodness. Well, what are you doing, Shads? Yeah. Now you're now you're coming over here trying to make up for you trying to be all alpha at the top of the stairs with the other cat. All right. I got we have two ads, but one of them only goes on the audio, so I'll just throw that in later. And then of
Okay.
course the bet online that's uh for the before 5 minute thing. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
It was. Hold on, let me see. I thought I wrote something down that I was just like, oh man, we can talk about this. It was Gilly, and then it was. Oh no, it was just thinking about Chris's next move. Like how I was just sitting thinking, I was like, nobody was expecting Matt Ryan. He pulled a
Mm-hmm.
magic trick out of hat. Nobody was expecting Gilly. He pulled a magic trick out his hat. So just talking about the next move and what we think, he's gonna pull out of his hat again. Because these are two good fits with Matt Ryan and Gilly. Like it's two perfect fits. So I
Well,
gotta
Yannick, I think, is perfect too for the
yes,
the
yes,
the
yes.
scheme. That
Yes, for sure.
I mean, it
See,
cost us rock, but
yeah, it cost us some money. That happened early. I kind of forgot about that a little bit. But yeah, the defensive side of the ball, it's getting there, man. It's getting there. It's getting there.
oh yeah, we got
Maybe the team is shifting its look a little bit. Maybe we're going to be more defensive minded, run the ball. Jonathan Taylor, first option. You know what I mean? Maybe we're going to shift that how we look, from that pass happy to more so of a ground
that's going
pound play action.
it's going to piss off a lot of freaking fans. I'll tell you that much.
You're right, but it was a lot of fans pissed off when Jonathan Taylor wasn't getting the ball how they thought he should have been getting the ball late in the year. So it was like pick your poison at the end of the day.
Right, right. The same guys, you tell someone we're going to be a ground and pound, run the ball, and play defense. And last year, those same guys that are bitching about that were bitching that, well, Jonathan Taylor only got 14 carries.
Right.
And I'm like, what do
Why
you
are we
want?
giving Jonathan Taylor the ball every snap? He's getting 5 yards. It'll be the same ones. Why aren't we throwing the ball? We can't just give the ball to Jonathan Taylor all the time. We got Pittman
I'm
out here.
sorry.
Nobody can guard Pittman, and we got him out here. We just don't throw him the ball. Like it'll be those fans too.
Oh, the fans that say, you can't run the ball are the same ones that say, well, Michael Pittman's not a number one. We don't
Right.
we don't have an offense. Our Michael
Right.
Pittman is a strong number two, but he's not a true number one receiver.
Right.
Same guys that said that Ty was never a number one, and I'm sitting there going, prototypical, maybe not, but you look at his numbers and his production, and I'm going to argue with you.
He looked like number one on the stat sheet. I know that.
Darn right. Oh, all right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Bleav in Colts, and we are back. I am Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy Jerraud Powers. Jerraud, it's a snowy Monday after Easter. I know it probably didn't snow down where you're at, but up here on April 18th, the day after Easter, it snowed. Is it cool down there?
Yeah, it's cool down here. We've been having rain the past, 3 days or so. It rained all day yesterday on Easter, but it's cool. So I can only imagine how it's feeling in Indy.
I can't. I mean, for it to be, mid-April, good Lord, I'm just not used to it. So let's talk about some hot topics and get us off of this thought process of why Mother Nature hates us. Uh, so, but before we get started, there is I just want to remind you all that our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the MLB is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games and poker games. It's easy to join. Just head over to the website today or use your mobile device to join and use our promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, man. So we had, since the last time we just talked, there was a pretty impressive signing that really kind of rounded out the defense and made that trade for Yannick Ngakoue a little easier to swallow, right? When we let go of Rocky Sin, we went out there and got former defensive player of the year, Stephon Gilmore, man. What was your reaction when you first saw that?
Man, I saw a report that said that Indy was interested, and it's not serious until Jim Irsay get on that jet. So when I saw the jet flew out to go see Gilly, I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna get him. And then as the day go by, the next day comes out and reports that the deal is done and all that. Man, I love it. I love the fit. Knowing Gilly, knowing his background, where he comes from, who he is as a player, who he is as a person. He just fits the Colts, nature. He's a family first guy. He's a team guy. And then at the end of the day, he knows how to handle his business on the football field. So I think you're getting a premier corner who still got something to prove. I mean, you got a guy that's chasing Hall of Fame stuff now. He has the Super Bowls, he has the accolades, the Defensive Player of the Year, and all these things. He's made the big money, been the highest paid corner in the league for a few years and all that. So I think now you got a guy that's coming in with a sense of motivation of, yeah, he wants to win a Super Bowl and help the Colts get there, but he wants to play well because he's chasing Hall of Fame numbers as well, too, which is very important to certain people in their journey as well. So I'm excited to see him get back to work. He's back healthy. He had his little injury stint to where he missed like 6-7 games last year to start the year off. But when he came back and played for Carolina, he looked like old Gilly. He looked like old Gilly to me. So I'm excited. I thought, Chris, pulled another magic trick out of his hat again.
Oh yeah, we're going to be discussing some Chris Ballard here in just a moment, but I'll tell you what, Gilly wasn't even on my radar really. I thought that he would be too much for the Indianapolis Colts because I mean we do know that generally Chris Ballard doesn't throw out the big bucks for big name free agents, right?
Right.
He does occasionally when it fits exactly what he's looking for. But generally those are trades, like when you go out and get a quarterback, or when you go out and get a defensive tackle, three tech. My favorite player currently on the team. But yeah, what turned my vision over was about a month ago. We had a couple guys from the Man to Man pod come on, and Darius, D Butts, and Bethay. They came on here and talked about that. We were talking about the Honey Badger, and they kept bringing up Gilmore, and I'm like, really? You honestly think? So shout out to them because they had him already in their sights, and even though I didn't think he was somebody that was going to be there, they really did, and they were right. So good.
No, you're exactly right. They definitely I think Darius. No, it might have been Twan was one of the like the first one that brought up Gilly, and I was like, man, that would be a good fit. And then I want to say Darius might have brought up James Bradbury, and I thought in my head I was like, oh man, that'd be a good fit as well. But I just, for whatever reason, didn't settle on me that Gilly could actually be here for once. Like you said, I thought it would be a little too pricey because during that time we were in the thick of free agency, like getting ready for it
Mm-hmm.
to start. So I'm thinking that he's about to get, a deal that we might not be able to afford, as far as what we need most important or whatnot. But for this fall in our hands again. You're talking about, I know I keep bringing it up, these puzzle pieces that you're trying to get to fit and match and, doing all these things. I mean, this is a huge puzzle piece because when you add a player like Gilly, then you got another special player in Kenny Moore. So now you're looking at that secondary, of course, Blackman and Rodney and all the guys that other guys that we brought in for his depth purposes and all that. But when you look at the secondary now, and you see those two guys, as far as Kenny Moore, who's now established as probably the best slot corner in football, one of the best defensive players in football, and then you look at Gilly, who's been the best football player, defensive football player in the league already, and still one of the premier elite corners that we got in our game. I mean, it's going to give offensive coordinators headaches a little bit. I mean, you got a guy that can literally shut down his entire side of the field, and then you got a guy in the slot that's a ball playmaking player in Kenny Moore. And then, like you said, us adding the pass rushers and, trying to get some pieces to where we can get to that quarterback, man. We got something in the working that could be a special defense. I know you said it in maybe the first couple pods. You was asking does this defense need to kind of become elite or become, get over that hump and just be that main staple or whatnot. And this is a big piece, man, that can possibly get us there. I didn't even say Darius Leonard's name yet. So this is a huge piece that I think now going into the off season and getting ready for the season, looking forward to it. Like, I'm excited about the defense, which you don't hear that much when you're talking about Indy and coach football. We're just so used to the offense, getting all the credit. But I'm excited about the defense now.
It is true. I mean, you go back Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning days, we talk about offense, all the offensive players that have all these accolades. And we have, I can't even count on my hands how many Pro Bowlers we have on our defense right now. It's just ridiculous, right? Pro Bowlers, all pros, MVPs,
Right.
defensive MVPs.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. Really looking forward to the defensive play this upcoming season. I wanted to be at least a top 5 defense this year because we've talked about it. Offense can get you into the playoffs, but defense wins championships, right? And
Right.
that it's still that way today. Um, a lot of questions about Gilmore. We talked a little bit before we started recording about his age and where that is, his injury, his age, that type of stuff. When you watch his gameplay from last year when he came back from the hamstring, no, it wasn't a hamstring, it was a quad. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
quad. Wrong side of the thigh.
Same,
um,
pretty much.
yeah. But what did you see? Do you see a drop off in his or a major drop off in his play? What do you think that we're getting? What Stephon Gilmore are we getting here?
No, I think you're getting elite Stephon. I mean, when you watch him play, if you look at the PFF stuff, which I'm not a big fan of the PFF because they don't really know what goes on in the coach's room and how guys are being graded. But when if you go off their numbers and just watch him and look the way he plays, I mean, he was still, if you just add the games that he played compared to everybody else, he still was up there as far as one of the top guys as far as in completion percentage. I think he had maybe 3 picks in 8 games or however many that he played. But when I watch film, me being a former defensive back, and I kind of call myself a defensive back connoisseur. But when I watch film on guys, it's just about, is he still tight to the receivers, their separation from the receiver. Like, it's just little things you look at that because the plays are come. These guys, wide receivers, they get paid in the NFL too to make plays and all that. But if you get a guy when you watch film and he's always, every throw is contested, he's always right there hip to hip with that wide receiver, then that guy is still playing at elite level. Now, when you watch film and there's major separation and every other play he's giving up a ball here or there, and he's not hip to hip, then you can start talking about, he might be missing a step. He might not have that juice anymore. But when I watch Stephon play, man, he still was guarding the number 1 receiver when he came back. He was still traveling and doing all that stuff. So that lets you know that he's still in elite mode. And like I said, coming off an injury, it's kind of hard to get back in the rhythm of things just because the injury that you got, you're still trying to make sure that that thing is not gonna, affect your play going forward. But now going through the season, going through the off season and all that, I expect Gilly to come back, this season like his old self, injury free and just ready to ball.
So I watched an interview from Stephon that happened not long ago, and he talks about by when he's covering a receiver by 10 yards, he says he knows exactly what the route is, and that's why he jumps it, whether it's a fly, a dig, an out, button hook, whatever. Is that right? Can a cornerback read a receiver that damn well to know that within 10 yards of his route what he's about to do?
Yeah, if you don't know exactly the route, you got an idea. It's either like this or that, if that makes sense. So for somebody like Stephon, he's going to go through his 3-step read progressions to where, as soon as the quarterback gets the ball, he's going to know if it's going to be quick game or not. If it's that quick slant, quick out, quick curl, because he can tell by the drop in the quarterback. Quarterback in 3-step is always going to be a quick 3-step drop. Get the ball, quick 3-step drop, got to get the ball out right now. It's timing. Whenever the quarterback goes into his 5-step drop and he transfers his eyes back to that wide receiver, depending on that stem, depending on that release, depending on that step. So it goes all the way back to your film study and everything that you've been, studying your opponents for. He just got a good way of, I guess, processing things in his mind to where he can go from step 1, step 2 to step 3, and it gives him exactly what route is about to happen or whatever, what play combos is about to go on or whatever the case may be. So that's what I mean by elite corners have certain attributes that you just can't teach, and this one with Stephon is more so of his film study. If you know what route's coming, you should be the defensive player of the year at some point. That just goes to a tribute to your hard work and dedication of studying and doing all that. But that's true. When he says that after 10 yards, he knows exactly what's coming. If it's not the exact route he's knowing that he think is coming, it's going to be something similar. So he's right in knowing in the progression of the just understanding the offensive mindset and progression of routes and timing and all those type things. He add that into his package to where he's able to jump routes left and right, and that's why those guys that we considered elite are great. Your Kenny Moore, same thing. I bet once we get Kenny Moore on the pod, which is going to come later on in the year, we asked him that same question. I bet he says the same thing. Like, man, sometimes I just know exactly what route's coming.
Wow. Well, that's actually pretty impressive because I mean, wide receivers and quarterbacks, they do everything they can to hide what they're doing,
Right.
especially, wide receivers running their routes, their takeoffs and all of that. They try to make it look exactly the same no matter what route that they're running,
No,
or
you're
or
right.
even or try to sell, something completely different than what they're doing, or set up a corner, you know, make it look like I'm doing this move this time, like 3 or 4 different times for this exact same route, and then use that same thing, but do something completely different later on, so
No, you're right.
that's
I remember talking to I was talking to Reggie Wayne one time, and that was his thing. His thing was he was going to make sure everything looked the same, every route, every stem, everything looked the same. But it goes vice versa too, though. Reggie, like a great receiver, he's going to watch how the cornerback is sitting. He's going to watch where the cornerback eyes is at. Is he looking inside? Is that zone, or is he looking at me? That's man to man. Like wide receivers got certain things that they look at far as when they're glancing the defense or glancing that guy that's covering them that can give them like, oh, this is cover 2, oh, this is cover 3, oh, they're man to man or whatever the case may be. So it kind of goes back and forth, and that's what make our game so great, because even though on the field it just looked like guys are playing football, but it's really a mental, like a mental chess match, and you're just trying to
mhm.
move that piece in the right place depending on what the defense or what the offense is giving you.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ballard talks about football intelligence a lot, right? And sometimes football intelligence will override natural God-given ability on the field, So that, and when you got both of those combinations together in one person, you get guys like Stephon Gilmore and
Yeah.
uh Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner. So Chris Ballard finally opened up his pocketbook a little bit, grabbed the cornerback, but we were discussing, man, he got him for cheaper than what we thought he was going to get him, and that's odd considering he went he visited the Rams, the Bills, the Bengals, the Raiders. You know, these are all got two of those teams were in the Super Bowl last year. You know, uh, one of the teams are a Super Bowl contender, new one, and then um, the Bills, they're also a Super Bowl contender. So you're looking at four Super Bowl contenders, and the Indianapolis Colts get the guy. That makes me want, and for less than what we thought. So, in my assumption, he had to have been given an offer that was more than $11.5 million a year, from someone else. So,
Yeah,
what do you think would sell in a former DPOY to the to Indiana? For
when
this situation.
when it comes to athletes choosing where they want to go, of course you want to go to a good team. Obviously, like you said, you just named some teams that are legit Super Bowl contenders, legit teams that got rosters ready to compete for it right now. It might be missing a piece or two, but the money, when it comes to the money situation, I know last week I talked about when I was a free agent and I was getting ready to go to San Diego, and the money was one thing, and AZ had me until they drove the money up to where it was something similar to where I felt comfortable. When you look at California and the tax rates and all those things that go in California, that money he might have gotten a bigger deal in California, but after taxes and all that stuff takes place, then you look at your real money and it might not be the same as it was if you went to an Indy, if you went to a different place to where the government's not going to take up so much of your money. So I'm pretty sure he had discussions about that as well. But on the flip side, like you said, coming off an injury, wasn't able to play a full season because he missed the first 6-7 games or whatever the case may be. So it was more so. And then once you wait so long in free agency and they're spending money on other guys and all that, sometimes that money goes down a little bit. So I think Stephon might be in a situation where he was willing to take a little less on a team that got some defensive pieces in place to where, everything is not just going to be on his shoulders. There's other great superstar type players on that defense that can really make them elite. So I'm pretty sure they discussed all of that. And then when you look at the offensive side of the ball, you got one of the best running backs in the game, one of the better quarterbacks in the game, and still looking to add some pieces there. But I think it was probably one of those situations to where Chris Ballard, you said it before, he take care of his guys. If he brings you in and you play well, he's known for just taking care of your guys and doing all that. So I'm pretty sure Stephon is looking at this as more of a let me go to Indy on a prove it type deal, do my thing, and be back up and ready for a new deal in another year. So it's probably just one of those situations. As long as the money was close to all those other teams, he just was going to the best situation and the best fit that fit him.
Absolutely. And the Indianapolis Colts, I don't know, have you watched the new Colts episode 2 that just dropped
No,
last week?
okay.
All
Okay.
right, so it's about the guy who deals with contracts and the cap
Hmm.
space. And they say there's a cash to cap, right? Where they deal with cash more of like what is now as
Yep.
opposed to looking at the cap, which is, looking at later on, where a lot of teams are, pushing everything back. So, they'll have to pay for it later. Right, right.
Right.
But they're getting it
Right.
now, but have to pay for it later. Since Ballard and this guy is doing cash, which is all now, they're going to have more cap space later for said extensions that you just talked about, right?
Yep.
Where they're looking to set themselves up for long-term success rather than just right now. And that's
Yep.
a big plus in their hat right there. Um So one more thing. I was talking about it. We had like 20 some million in cap space for this year available. Now, obviously, I think the contract itself hasn't dropped yet, but I think that the Gilmore contract's probably pretty front loaded heavy. Just in case, right? Just in case. But you talked about it where you might get a contract extension at the end of this year if he plays very well, stays healthy, that type of situation. Um, Now I can't remember where I was going with that. Uh,
Well, with the cap coming up, late players getting ready to get re-signed and all that. Yep.
yeah, but um, oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. So if this was front heavy, it ate up the majority of the 24 million dollars we have. There's still holes on our roster. Now, a lot
Mhm.
of people believe that, they are probably going to go offensive heavy in the draft, even though we don't have a first round pick, but still could go very offensive heavy because of how deep it is at positions of need on the offense. But is there a chance that we could see maybe a restructure of another deal or something? Do you think that would be a precursor to maybe Ballard having his eyes on another player? Like if he restruck, because he talked about you want to have the money available to get the guy that you
Mhm.
want. If he becomes available, you don't want to wait until it's too late and then be like, hey, I need you to sit there for a few days while I renegotiate someone's deal real quick. You want to have that money available. Do you think there's a chance we might see something like that happen here pretty soon where maybe a Ryan Kelly or a Darius Leonard or someone like that might end up restructuring just a little bit just to free up a little bit of money
Yeah.
for maybe a receiver or something if it.
Yeah, I can definitely see something like that happening. When it comes to restructuring, a lot of times you might see like, oh, you might hear a guy that gets released saying like, yeah, they wanted me to take a pay cut and I didn't want to, and they had to move on. But in a situation with, say, Darius Leonard, like you said, you would restructure Darius, and let's just say if Darius, I don't know how much Darius is supposed to make, this year, but let's just say he's making $10 million, this season. You'll go as a base salary. You'll go to Darius and be like, "Hey, we'll give you 9 million up front, to restructure just so your base salary can be 1 million." So at the end of the day, he's still getting the 10 million at the, it's just cap wise. We've already gave that money away, so we only is hit with that million of base salary, far as cap or whatever the situation. So I can definitely see them going to one of the bigger name guys that got got a lot of money that's due to them far as base salary, and just giving them a signing bonus, get them to restructure and cutting them a check, for whatever they're supposed to make this year, just so it can gives them some space on the cap. So I can definitely see something like that, because when you look at our defense now, I think now we're at a spot to where, yeah, now we can just plug in some pieces wherever those holes are. They don't got to be big name guys. Like, we got our
Mm-mm.
big name players now. Now we just plug in those role pieces that's going to get us over the hump, because it's always, the guys that we don't know about that end up having these great years to make it, what it is. And I think now when you look at the offense, we're going to have to find another key guy, just like how we found the Gilmore, just like how we found Rodney McLeod. And like, we're going to have to find some key guys maybe that's still sitting in free agency that we might have to pay a little bit, for here or there. And I think I think Chris might want to get ready for a situation in case a player like that pops up. But I can definitely see them getting one more name, if you want to put it that way, name for the offensive side of the ball. Because even though I like Pittman, and I know they came out earlier in the year talking about how they like the wide receiver room right now. I think Reggie Wayne is not going in there saying that he likes everybody right now. I think he might even want, just give me one guy I know for sure, like proven guy that's done it, that can come in and be a great fit with Matt Ryan. So I can see them going to get, some type of receiver. I don't know which one. I haven't done my research to know what receiver out there will fit, exactly what we want to do. But I think we definitely need a veteran guy in that receiving room to kind of give us some assurance going into the season.
Bring up the wide receivers coach, um, Reggie, and I'm curious: is Reggie being a wide receivers court, is that a selling point for wide receivers to bring him in? I mean, a former player trying to be a coach.
Could possibly. Plus, Reggie got a lot of relationships with a lot of
Yeah,
players. Reggie's always been a mentor, to guys across the league. I mean, y'all would be surprised how many people hit him up just for advice or training regimen or whatever the case may be. So Reggie does have influence when it comes to players liking him, if that makes sense. So I can see anybody that Chris and in the scouting department, player personnel department, anybody that they like out there, if they bring them in the building, they're probably going to get him because of Reggie and how Reggie is. And once they get around Reggie to see how he is and all that. So I can definitely see that at a selling point for somebody that they might, want to bring in that's a big name guy that possibly might not even know Reggie. But once you get in that room and you get to meet Reggie, it's hard to kind of tell him no, if that makes sense.
yeah, it makes sense completely. I mean, he's got a strong personality. Um, I mean, even if you're not a Colts fan, when you watch him on like NFL Network, I believe it was
Oh,
that
yeah.
he was part of. He he expresses himself very very well.
Yeah.
Um, and then of course, as Colts fans, we all know that the type of worker he was, and the things he did on his entrances to training camp,
Oh,
when
yeah.
going into training camp, that was just, I mean,
That's
comes in a dump truck and a hard hat and like it's time to work. I mean, come on.
oh, yeah.
uh it's it's really hard not to like someone like that when you're a fan anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
So
And Reggie
whoa.
loves the Colts. Like Reggie loves the Colts. Like through and through loves the Colts. So that's why I was like, man, that's a great fit for him to not come back and join because he could have probably went anywhere to coach if he wanted to. So for Coach Wright to continue to call him every off season to try to get him back, man, I'm real happy about that because I do think it's gonna do wonders as far as the guys in that room going forward. Just being a pro, I mean, he's your pro's pro. Never miss practice, always on time, or last one to leave. Team chemistry. Like he's everything that you want in an athlete. So I'm excited to see that wide receiver room develop and grow and kind of beat the expectations that's kind of been set on them now. Because right now, I think everybody's kind of looking at that room, like, what are we going to do? Like, who do we got for Matt Ryan to, do
Hmm.
what he do? So I think once we see that room blossom, you'll understand why they're blossoming, and it's going to be because of Reggie.
Yeah, hopefully. Now I love MPJ, I really do, but mm, I really like Campbell, and I really wish that he could just be on
Stay
the
healthy.
field.
Stay healthy.
uh
Stay healthy.
yeah, there's that's an issue. The Colts had a lot of injuries last year. Now I know every team goes through injuries every year. Some are more key players than others,
Yeah.
but
Like
uh
Baltimore.
yeah. Yeah, Baltimore lost what, 53 running backs in the season, and
That's
they're a
crazy.
running team, and then they're
Most of the
running
tight
quarter.
ends, all that. Then the running quarterback got hurt.
Yeah, then the running quarterback gets his injury. I'm like, what? This team is done, at least for this year. But well, I think we've talked about quite a bit, but um, is there anybody coming up in this upcoming draft that you think that the Colts might have their eye on?
I don't know anybody specifically. I know I was having a discussion with somebody, and I was like, normally Colts like Big Ten guys when it comes to playmakers. Like I remember Anthony Gonzalez coming out of Ohio State, and I like Coach love the
Ohio
Big
State.
Ten guys. And when you look at Ohio State wide receiver, like they got 2 or 3 guys that could go first round, I think, and not first round, but I know first 2 rounds, far as in that wide receiver room. So it wouldn't surprise me if maybe one of those guys, if they slip down to the second round and it's available, that they'll go out there and grab.
You know what's weird? I was just talking to somebody who is a big Ohio State fan and is like, man, if we could grab one of those, that'd be great. And I'm like, I don't want any Ohio State players. All right. Because every Ohio State player gets hurt in their second year.
Hurt, yeah.
Every single one of them. Not just the ones that the Colts have get. You go out there and look at Bosa. Both Bosas. Second year, hurt, right? Go look at Chase. Second year, hurt. Yeah. McLaurin got hurt. Every single one of them are hurt. Second year, third year, something like that. So that's weird. Now, obviously, you look at that and go, well, that's kind of dumb to point out. But if there's something there, there's something there. I'm wondering if it has something to do with the strength and conditioning that Ohio State teaches their guys. I don't know, but
you get some SEC guys beat up too. I think it's just I don't know if it's the Power 5 thing to where they kill guys in the offseason program to get ready for the season. So I know I faced a lot of injuries. When I got to the Colts, I broke my foot twice. I broke my forearm. And all that stuff. So it's kind of freakish type things, but it could be those off-season programs can be a little strenuous when it comes to when we're talking college. Because, I mean, you're thinking Ohio State, big-time program, they're in the playoffs every year. So I can only imagine, what that off-season look like. And I'm pretty sure it looks like your Alabamas, your Georgias, it looks the same. So a bunch of SEC guys get they come in a little beat up as well.
All right. Well, I just hope that we don't go through that same situation because we got the Tyquan Lewis that got hurt, we got Campbell that got hurt, we got Hooker, Hooker second year hurt. It is what it is. I did too, man. Well, I think he's got a starting job over at the Cowboys this year, so that's good on him. Good on him. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for this episode. Next week we'll probably talk a little bit about the draft since it's coming up. That's going to be interesting. A lot of stuff that we're going to have to cover.
Is it in Vegas? Where is it this year?
I think it is, but let me look real quick.
I think I knew it went in New York this year, so I think it's Vegas though.
Kansas City. No, that's 2023. Detroit. Detroit. No, that's 2024.
So is it New York?
Hold on. Click and no, it's Vegas. Last year was Cleveland. This year is Vegas. Yep.
Okay.
And then next year is Kansas City. And then Detroit.
Gotcha.
I had to look it up. Thank you. I thought you was right with the Vegas the first time, but I had to make sure. I mean, they got a beautiful new stadium out there, man. That thing is freaking gorgeous.
I like their stadium. I like Minnesota Stadium too. I like their new stadium is like crazy. And that's why I was talking to a friend of mine that went over there and played. He's from Florida, and I was like, man, you got to go up to Minnesota. It's going to be freezing cold. He was like, freezing cold? Like, man, we play indoors now. And I'm like, oh, snap. I kept forgetting because normally we used to go, Minnesota used to be outdoors for that little stint until that stadium was built. So I love their stadium, though.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Buffalo's new stadium ends up being like because they just got approved for new one. So
nothing like Lucas Oil, though. Lucas Oil still top 5, top 3 stadium in football.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people don't think that, they come up, and I've had a lot of people say the outside is boring, and I'm like, go inside.
inside.
Go inside. That
Yeah,
thing is
want to go outside
beautiful.
after that. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I mean, it's Indiana weather. Of course, it's not going to look great from the outside, you know.
Right.
We always live in indoors here in Indiana. I mean, it just snowed in April 18th, you know.
True.
All right. I think that'll do us. Thanks for spending about 40 minutes with me today. Got to cover Gilmore and a little bit about going over, contracts and Chris Ballard and a bunch of other stuff. If you guys are listening to this or watching this, whether you're listening to it over on the Bleav podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts or watching us on YouTube, make sure you share this to your favorite social media. Help get us out there a little bit, because you doing that helps us out a ton. And
Yes.
thank you for listening. And until next time, is there something else you wanted to say as we exit?
No, that was it. That was it, my man.
All right, man. Until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That was Jerraud Powers. This was Bleav in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.
Go Colts.